my music.
Oh, hey, you kind of crept up on me there. I was just cleaning my dagger, getting it ready for a nice excursion today. The purpose of this video is to provide some basic kayak stroke technique, some common seafaring terminology, and practical advice to get you out in the water and enjoying nature in your kayak. Let's start with the kayak and the terms used to describe it. Here's the bow. The bow can be remembered by thinking of where your body bends when making this gesture. The front, of course. The stern back here can be remembered by how stern your father was when he was whooping your behind. Now, port and starboard are left and right terms. Port would be the left-hand side of the boat, and starboard would be the right-hand side. Some additional features of the kayak are the grab handles, which are used to carry the kayak to and from your destination. The cockpit, this is where you sit. The cockpit rim, which is used, one, to drain water away from the cockpit, and two, to attach various equipment such as the cockpit protective seal. This seal is great to keep out them critters, but also provides nice aerodynamic travel. These bungees up here can be used for carrying various types of equipment, or rags for cleaning your vessel on the go. Another useful feature is this here paddle holder. This elastic wraps around the paddle and straps to itself. This allows the users to fish, hunt, eat lunch, or take some scenic photos. Let's come back here to the deck lid. The deck lid provides dry storage for all of your needs, whether it be clothes, towels, or some snacks. Some kayaks even come equipped with a Pepsi. Some kayaks offer amenities like thigh pads and foot pegs. The foot pegs can be real useful when maintaining stability in rough waters or when using stroke techniques like the sweep or the draw. Let's use your common kayak paddle. It consists of a shaft, two blades, and two rubber stops to prevent water from draining onto your hands during paddling. Recommended grip width is approximately shoulder width. While paddling, it's a good idea to adjust your grip width. This helps to distribute the workload amongst your muscles evenly. A wide grip gives you more power and control. A narrow grip is more pleasant for long distance paddling. There are hundreds of makes and models of kayaks, and it's important to choose the right one for your needs. Touring kayaks, which can be seen here, are typically long and narrow. They provide more space for storage and also cut through the water. In vast contrast to the touring kayak is the whitewater kayak. The whitewater kayak is typically known for its dolphin-shaped bow, the spray skirt, which prevents water from entering the cockpit during rough terrain or rollovers, and its short stature, which allows users to use their body, or torso, and abdominal muscles to move the kayak for technical turns in rough waters. This 11-foot dagger made by Zytec does nice in the rough waters because of its wide stature. It's not so short that every movement of my body sways the bow back and forth. This is known as bow sway. The whitewater kayak has a lot of bow sway because it's so small and light. This recreational job is nice at allowing me to coast downstream at my leisure. When you enter your kayak, you should extend your legs so that they are slightly bent at the knees. The foot pegs can be slid forward and backwards to make it more comfortable for you. Once your feet are set, make sure that your backrest is adjusted for the most comfortable use. They usually have a pull tab to increase or decrease the angle for your back. Let's get to know our kayaks before we get in the water and see how stable they are by doing the boogie woogie. Go ahead and rock side to side and test your balance by moving your hips to the left and right while counterbalancing with your upper body. Try holding to one side to really test your ability. Before we get started on our kayaking adventure, let's go over a few simple things you should bring with you just in case of emergencies. Number one is a life preserver. Type 3 is preferred, but pick one that's suitable to your size and weight, best fit your needs. 2, bring a pair of change of clothes. You'll never know when you get cold or wet and you need to change. 3, it's always used to have a little bungee. This way you can strap off to shore and however you'd like, take a drink or stop for a fire. We got a CPR mask and first aid kit here from the American Red Cross. Always handy to have. Towel is very important in case you get cold or for the end of your trip when you're looking to dry off. Obviously we got our paddle over here ready to go. I got a cold Pepsi for the ride. We got a knife just in case I need to cut any line or carve out a stick for fishing. Got our standard whistle in case of emergency. Identification in case of an accident. And a Pepsi bottle opener in case you stop at a soda shop along the way. Before we set out to enjoy some of nature, it's important to know how to enter the water safely with your kayak. Start by positioning your kayak about halfway in the water and halfway out. Next thing to remember is to always have at least 3 points of contact with your kayak. For me, I got 2 hands and 1 foot. Never take that second hand off for 2 points of contact. As you enter your kayak, you should have your paddle up here ready to go. I'm going to take my kayak paddle off and I'm going to use my blade to slowly push myself out into the water. You can use your body to help with this too. Simple as that. When making your way back to land, it's important to follow these simple steps to make sure that you can exit your kayak safely. Start by having about a 10-foot approach to your exit. Paddle in using your forward strokes with some momentum to get that front edge up on the sand. Next, we'll just reverse the steps of entering. Place your kayak paddle in a sturdy place where it can sit and rest without falling. Maintain those 3 points of contact at all times. 1 foot out, the other foot out. Simply grab your grab handle and get on out. An important step before heading out on your adventure is to perform that boogie woogie test we did earlier. We want to get to know the stability of our kayak and how much it can handle. Use those hips to rock yourself back and forth and counteract with your upper body. Try to hold that crease or that edge and use your upper body to counteract the force. One of the most fundamental skills of kayaking, the forward stroke, is often overlooked. I'll be showing you the difference between a power stroke and a poorer stroke. You begin with an effective windup. This means rotating your torso like so and reaching forward for an early catch. During the power phase, it's important to keep your anchor hand or the top hand steady so that you can use it as a lever. Grip the shaft low and try to keep a near vertical angle when performing the forward stroke. Pull straight back and try to recruit as many muscle groups as you can, including your abdominals, hips, biceps, and shoulders, to perform the most effective stroke. The recovery is the very important last step to a forward stroke. It is important to keep the paddle close to the side of the kayak for a smooth and natural lift from the water. You should recover at the hip level. Let's review our forward stroke. One of the key words that we're going to use is tip to hip. We start with an early draw up and head, and we end by our hip before returning. Another thing to keep in mind in the forward stroke is that we're using our whole body to generate force through the paddle. So when we enter the water over here, we're using our whole body to pull for a nice powerful stroke. Let's see what that looks like in full motion. One stroke that's important to review before you set out into open waters is a reverse stroke. Contrary to your forward stroke, you're going to look back when you're taking that stroke, create your anchor up nice and high, have your paddle hand low and at your hip level, and go from hip to tip instead of hip to tip. Let's see what that looks like. Now, one thing to remember when we're performing the backward stroke or reverse stroke is that we want to use our full body in the movement. When I'm reaching back, I'm not just pushing like this. I'm using my whole body, looking, dipping the blade in, and then pushing and finishing through up the tip. With your paddle curl near vertical and straight out to the side, dip your blade into the water fully and create a lever with your top hand as an anchor, just like the forward and backward stroke. This is going to provide the counter force for your draw. As you prepare to pull, make sure that your torso is facing the paddle and grip the shaft at about belly button level. Pull the blade straight towards you and lift out of the water as if you're wiping a critter off the side of the blade. This is what it looks like in full motion. Let's practice our draw stroke. Draw is useful when you're close to an object that you don't want to bump into and you need to get away from it without using the forward stroke, which could propel you into the object, like this here rock. First, we start off with our anchor hand up nice and high. Once that anchor hand is up, you reach out as far as you comfortably can with your paddle, dip it fully in the water, lean as far as you are comfortable, pull in towards you, and sweep that booger out the side of the boat. Now, one thing to remember on the draw is that you're going to use your torso when you're reaching out and when you're pulling back to correct yourself. Let's look at that at a different angle. Reach out, pull, lean. I'm using my torso this whole time to correct my body movement. Alright. One important stroke to review before you head out is a sweep stroke. That's the stroke that turns your kayak from one direction to another. It can be used while turning or when stationary. Let's see it in full before we break it down. The forward sweep is just one of the sweeps that we can do. There's the forward and reverse. Let's break down the forward sweep first. The forward sweep starts out just like a forward pull, in that you're reaching for an early catch and you're leaning forward. The main difference is that instead of a near vertical angle, we have a near horizontal angle for the sweep stroke. It's important to get that blade fully submerged in the water before you start your stroke. Reach out fully for that early catch. Get ready with your anchor hand to create that counter force needed to make the sweep. Once you reach out, pull in an arc fashion or a 180-degree turn to establish your sweep. Once you reach the rear of your kayak or the stern, that's when we lift out of the water. Let's see it in full motion. Now, the reverse sweep is similar to the forward sweep, only I'm going to change the direction of my paddles to make it a little more effective. We're going to start by looking backwards, placing the full blade into the water, and we're going to push forward instead of pull back. This stroke is important in the follow-through. We want to create all of that momentum and keep it going with our bodies. The low brace is an intermediate skill that's very useful in rough waters. It can be used when we feel like we're about to tip over or capsize. The first step is, just like the name, establishing your paddle low. We're twisting the wrist backwards or forwards to create a horizontal angle with our blade. Once we have that angle, what we're going to do is push with our biceps, our shoulders, and our back, just as if we were pushing up to get off the ground. This is what it looks like in full motion. Now, it may seem a little silly, but when you're about to tip over, this can be a useful tool to use. One thing to remember on the low brace is that you're using, just like every other stroke, your torso to pull your kayak up and steady yourself. Let's see that one more time. That's the